Hi everyone. Today we will discuss about a new unit in instrumentation and control system subject. It is unit 5, measurement of humidity and measurement of force, torque and power. It is the unit 5. In this class we are going to see about what is the overall introduction of these topics. That means introduction of the measurement of humidity, force, torque and power. This class we will see what is humidity and what is force, what is torque and what is the shaft power, and what are the different instruments we are using to measure these different things, that is humidity, force, torque, power. Okay, first of all we will see about the what is the humidity and what are the different types of uh, instruments to measure humidity, and where we use those different types of instruments to measure humidity, and also what is force, what are the types of measurements used to measure force and torque and power. It is overall about the unit 5. In previous classes we have completed 4 units in this instrumentation and control system subject, that is introduction of the instrumentation and control system, that is unit 1, and measurement of displacement. Next unit 2, it is measurement of temperature and measurement of pressure, and third unit measurement of level, flow measurement and measurement of speed, measurement of acceleration and vibration, and fourth unit is stress and strain measurement. These are all 4 units we are completed in previous classes. Today we will discuss a new unit. It is a unit 5. First of all, we can see what is humidity and what is the measurement of humidity. How we measure humidity by using different types of instruments, and where we measure humidity, what is humidity. Okay, so first of all, what is the what is mean by humidity? Humidity is the amount of water vapor present in the air. So the water vapor content is present in the atmosphere or air. You can take any atmosphere or any environment or any object or any component, that is hollow components or any type of objects you can take. Compulsory a small amount of water content, water vapor content is placed on that air or atmosphere or any type of objects you can take. So humidity is the amount of water vapor. The humidity it means, that means humidity it means a water vapor, amount of water vapor present in the air or any type of object. Some amount of water content is placed on that object, some amount of water content is placed on that air. Okay, it not a whole amount of water content is not placed, some amount of water content should be placed on the air, we can call it is humidity. The water vapor is the gaseous state of water and is invisible. So water vapor is in the state of gaseous state. So the gas is not visible. If the air is not visible in that environment, um, in our daily life, daily we can see different types of trees and different types of plants, different areas, so much locations we will see the air is not visible. Okay, so in that also the humidity is in the state of gaseous state. Different types of gases are there. There are so much amount of gases, a number of gases are available in the environment. Those are all gases not visible, those are all gases not visible. Similarly, the humidity is also in the state of gaseous state. It is not visible. So it is the water content. It is not visible in the environment. Humidity indicates the likelihood of precipitation, dew, or fog. Humidity indicates the precipitation and dew point and fog. That means gaseous state or evaporation state. In these different states, the humidity is available. Okay, so it is the humidity indicates the precipitation. What is meant by precipitation? Okay, so precipitation, it is the action of a process precipitating a substance from a solution. That is a rainfall or snowfall, sleet or hail that falls into the uh, tine ground. The fact of the quality acting suddenly and rashly. That means rainfalls or snowfalls are falling from the environment to the top of the earth. That is the precipitation. So in that content also humidity is available. And next one, dew point. So that dew point also some particular uh, uh, some particular season the dew is falls on the earth, uh, that is we can call it is manchu. Okay, that is sweda binduvulu. That is a cold amount of cold air is um, coming to the earth. Okay, so that is dew. And next one, fog. And next one, fog. So that fog it is called Pogamanchu. That called the fog is called Pogamanchu. So the grass which grows in a field after a crop of it has been taken, a thick cloud of tiny water droplets suspend in the atmosphere. A small amount of tiny particles available in the atmosphere, that is fog. Okay, so in this precipitation or dew or fog, uh, the humidity is available. So higher humidity reduces the effectiveness of sweating in cooling the body by reducing the rate of evaporation of moisture from the screen. High humidity reduces. So the high amount of humidity it plays, it is very cold in it, cold temperatures. The body should be cooled. The body should be cool. If the high amount of humidity, that means high amount of water vapor or high amount of rainfalls or high amount of dew, high amount of fog is falls on the earth, the amount of humidity it is increases the cooling nature. It increases the cooling nature. The temperature of humidity, that vapor content is very less. Okay, so that is falls on um, the rate of evaporation of moisture from the screen. It is a very high amount of low amount of temperature should be maintained. That is causes some skin effects to that uh, high humidity in nature. This effect is calculated in a heat index table or humidex. So that amount of effects we can calculate at a different heat index table, and how much amount of heat is developed and how much amount of heat considered in that snowfall or rainfall in that atmospheric temperatures we can maintain to develop a index table. And the amount of water vapor that is needed to achieve saturation increases as the temperature increases. So if the temperature is gradually increases in the summer time, uh, suppose one ice cube is placed on the uh, air. One ice cube is placed on the air, so that ice temperature is below the 0 degree centigrade. uh, in that summer vacation, in that summer we can place that ice on that floor or air or environment. Gradually the temperature of that ice is increases. The temperature of the ice is increases. That means the cold temperature it will changes into the uh, high temperature of the, finally we can get the liquid. Okay, so that water is in the amount of cold, that means ice in the ice, that ice is changed into water. So the temperature of that substance is gradually increased. Okay, so that is the increase in temperature of the environment. That is also evaporation occur. That evaporation, it means it has some amount of humidity is placed on that object. Okay, so as the temperature of a parcel of water becomes lower, it will eventually not reach the point of saturation without adding or losing water mass. So the temperature of fossil water becomes lower. So the temperature of the water, the water humidity becomes low. That means it should not reach the dew point of that saturation. Only the liquid water we can take, uh, that is normal temperature. That is normal temperature. There is no at below at 0 degrees centigrade, and it is not at a high amount of high 100 degrees centigrade. There is no saturation point. Only it is in the form of liquid state. It is in the form of liquid state only. Either the temperature is decreased, it will convert it into ice, that is below 0 degrees centigrade or 0 degrees centigrade. And the temperature we can raise down of that liquid substance, gradually the temperature is increases, it should be evaporated, and that water substance temperature should be increased, so it will reach the dew point temperature. Okay, so that is we can take what time of water it becomes lower till it is eventually not reach the point of saturation without adding or losing water of mass. Only normal amount of water we can take. There is no losses and there is no adding of masses occurred. So that is humidity. And what are the types of humidities? What are the different types of humidities? You can see there is different types of humidities. One is absolute humidity. One is absolute humidity. That means complete. That is complete humidity in the environment or object or any type of component. You can take. There is a complete humidity. You can see um, in the winter season, that means then early morning 5 o'clock, the early morning 4:30 4 to 5 o'clock, you can see the atmosphere, all atmosphere should be in humidity. That means the water vapor content is more in that winter season. Okay, so that is the best example in the absolute humidity. And relative humidity, and relative humidity, that means a small amount of humidity is available from the environment. That is it means either rainy season or winter season or summer season, small amount of humidity is available. That is relative humidity. And next one, specific humidity. Specific humidity. So that is we can change the temperatures. We can change the temperature. It is the absolute humidity. It is the absolute humidity. And next one, relative humidity. It should be likely in a small amount of humidity is placed. And specific humidity, the specific temperatures we should maintain. It is below 0 degrees centigrade or above 100 degrees centigrade. That is the specific temperature we are maintaining on that. That is increase or decrease of the vapor content, water content of that air or any substance. That is specific humidity. These are the different types of humidity. One is absolute humidity, and next one relative humidity, and the third one is specific humidity. Okay, what is absolute humidity? What is absolute humidity? Absolute humidity is the total mass of water vapor present in a given volume of air. Absolute humidity is the total mass of water vapor present in the given volume of air. Uh, that is the best example, winter season. Winter season, early morning 4 to 5 o'clock. Uh, that overall air should enclosed with the water vapor. Overall air should enclosed with the water vapor. So the total mass of water vapor present in the given volume of air. Okay. It does not take temperature into consideration. It does not take, so that we should not calculate the temperature. It is a small amount of temperature is available on that air. Absolute humidity in the atmosphere ranges from 0 to roughly 30 grams per cubic meter. So what is the absolute humidity in that atmospheric ranges? How much amount of mass is available on that particular time or particular range of objects or particular components? Uh, it is 30 grams per cubic meter when the air is saturated at 30 degrees centigrade. That means 86 degrees Fahrenheit. So the mass of the absolute humidity, it is 30 grams per cubic meter, and the temperature should be maintained 30 degrees centigrade. And absolute humidity is the mass of water vapor. It is divided by the volume of the air and water vapor. Absolute humidity is the mass of water vapor. So how much amount of humidity is placed on that air, how much amount of humidity is available on the object, we can calculate. That means the mass should be calculated on that area on that object. The mass is calculated, that is divided by the volume of the air and water vapor. So how much volume of air, how much volume is available, and how much air quantity is available, how much amount of water vapor content is available on that particular volume, we can calculate. Okay, the absolute humidity changes as air temperature or pressure changes. So the absolute humidity changes. That means uh, in one glass of water, the glass of water is in the uh, uh, 5 degrees centigrade or 10 degrees centigrade. That means above 0 degrees centigrade and below 20 degrees centigrade. It is at very cold in nature. It is very cold in nature. It is one flask. That flask we are taking, uh, water. So it is very cold water. So the water content of this cold water, it is very high. The water content is very high. Water content is high. Water content is high. It is suppose at 10 degrees centigrade. We can increase this temperature. We can increase this temperature. We can increase the temperature of this particular flask or particular water. Automatically the temperature is changes, the humidity is changes, because of uh, the water should be evaporated. It is heated up to 100 degrees centigrade. It is heated up to 100 degrees centigrade. So the water should be evaporated. The water should be evaporated. Only the small amount of water is available on that flask. Okay, so what you observe on this experiment, it is the humidity is changes, the water vapor content is less in that flask. That is also the pressure is changes, the temperature of the flask is also, the temperature of the water is also changes. So you can see automatically the absolute humidity changes, automatically the temperature and pressure is also changes. This makes it is unsuitable for chemical engineering. It is not unsuitable for chemical engineering. It is absolute it is absolute humidity. And next one, what is relative humidity? What is relative humidity? Relative humidity is the ratio of partial pressure of water vapor to the equilibrium vapor pressure of water at a given temperature. You can see there is a formula to calculate the relative humidity. RH is equal to pH2O by P star H2O. That means relative humidity, it is the ratio of partial pressure of water vapor, pH2O. pH2O, it means partial pressure, only small amount of uh, pressure. That means we are not adding any high amount of pressures or temperatures of that water vapor. That is the partial pressure of water vapor to that equilibrium, and uh, vapor equilibrium vapor pressure of water given temperature. At an temperature should be changed. It is a cooling or it is a heated, the temperature is changed. So it is the ratio of a partial pressure of water vapor to the equilibrium vapor pressure of water at a given temperature. So it is a relative humidity. It depends upon the temperature and the pressure of the system of interest. It requires less water vapor to attain high relative humidity at low temperatures. High humidity at low temperatures. So relative humidity depends upon the temperature, and the and the pressure of the system it is increases, automatically the temperature and the pressure is also changes. There is a less water vapor content and high relative humidity at low temperatures. More water vapor is required to attain high relative humidity in warm or hot air. The relative humidity of an air water mixture is defined as the ratio of partial pressure of water vapor, that is a pH2O, partial pressure of water vapor, in the mixture of equilibrium vapor pressure. It is P star H2O. A flat surface of pure water at a given temperature, that is RH is equal to pH2O. pH2O in the mixture of equilibrium vapor pressure of water, that is P star H2O, that is the equilibrium vapor pressure. And a flat surfaces of pure water at it is given temperature, the ratio of RH is equal to pH2O by P star H2O. Relative humidity is normally expressed as a percentage. A higher percentage means that the air water mixture is more humid. A lower percentage means that the air water mixture is less humidity. So it is the relative humidity. And next one, what are the different measuring instruments to measure humidity? That is dew point meter, and sling psychrometer, absorption psychrometer. These are the different measuring instruments of the humidity. What is dew point meter? It is the temperature at which consideration will occur. How much temperature we can calculate a particular air or particular substance or particular area. That temperature we can calculate. That is the dew point. The dew point is the temperature. The air must be in order to the saturated. It is in the form of a saturated position or normal position or below 0 degrees position. We can calculate the temperature. Okay, so that is a dew point meter. And a sling psychrometer. You can observe what are the different components in the sling psychrometer. There is a swivel joint and glass casing frames, wet bulb thermometer and wick made wet, dry bulb thermometer, swivel handle. So the thermometers are placed to calculate the temperatures of by using sling psychrometer. And next, so measurement of force. Sorry for the interruption. Measurement of force. So force is defined as an influence that causes an object to change its rate or direction of movement or rotation. So force is defined as the influence that causes an object to change its rate of direction. A force can accelerate objects by pulling or pushing. So the force is developed either pulling or pushing. And the relationship between force, mass, and acceleration was defined by Isaac Newton in his second law of motion. which states that an object's force is the product of its mass and acceleration. We can calculate the force. It is the formula of mass into acceleration. Force is equal to mass into acceleration. That is kg into meters per second square. Kg into meters per second square. That is the formula of force, and those are the units of mass and acceleration. The mass is calculated in terms of kg, and the acceleration it should be measured meters per second square. Force measurement method. Force is measured at a balance in the unknown force against known gravitational force due to standard mass. It is calculated scales and balances of works. It is based on this principle. So applying unknown force to an elastic member, spring, beam, cantilever, and measuring the resulting deflection on calibrated force scale, or the deflection may be measured by using secondary transducers, that is elastic force meter and providing ring. Uh, these are the force measuring methods. Uh, Translating the force to a fluid pressure and then measuring the resultant pressure, hydraulic and pneumatic load cells works on this principle. Applying force to known mass and then measuring the resulting acceleration. So balancing force against a magnetic force, which is developed by interaction of a magnet and a current in coil. These are the different measuring methods of the force. Okay, next one. What is the weight measurement by using scales and balances? Uh, the weight it is known as mass. So how we measure the mass by using scales and balances? It is equal arm beam balance scale, and second one unequal arms beam balance scale, and third one multi-lever platform scale, and the fourth one pendulum scale. These are the weight measurement methods. And next one, elastic force meter. This elastic force meter is also used to measure the force. One is spring scale. One is spring scale. That is the elastic force meter. We can measure the force by using this type of instrument. And next one, load cell. This load cell, different types of load cell are used to measure the force. One is strain gauge load cell, and the second one is hydraulic load cell, and the third one is pneumatic load cell, and fourth one is LVDT, linear variable differential transducer. It is the different instruments to measure force. So, and next one, what is the introduction of torque? So the introduction of torque, it is defined by a twisting force that tends to cause rotation. A twisting force is applied on this object. The torque is developed. You can see this diagram. The twisting, that means one end of the uh, end it is rotated clockwise direction, and another end of the uh, rotated it is anti-clockwise direction. Automatically the twisting force is applied. In the twisting force, force, it is called torque. The force is developed on this object, that is torque. So torque is by definition a quantity that represents the tendency of force to rotate an object about its an axis. So the force is increased on the object, automatically the torque is increased. So what are the units of this torque? It is Newton meters. For example, the force generated by an internal combustion engine to turn a vehicle drive for shaft. So the force is how much amount of force is generated on the internal combustion engine. So the vehicle driving is that amount of it is based upon the force generation. The force generation is very high on the internal combustion engine. The torque developed on the vehicle's drive is also high in that internal combustion engine of the vehicle. So the torque may be computed by measuring the force. It is known as radius. Torque T is equal to force into radius. Torque T is equal to So you can see this formula torque T is equal to force into radius. Force is the force in the terms of newtons, and R is the radius from pivoted point R. Okay, so that is torque T is equal to force into radius, and we can calculate by using this formula. We will see in further classes about overall formula and how to calculate and what are the different measuring devices of this torque. We can explain in next class. And what is mechanical different measuring instruments of torque, and it is mechanical torsion meter, optical torsion meter, electrical torsion meter, and strain gauge torsion meters. These are the different measuring instruments of the torque, and what are the methods of measuring torque. Okay, and what are the types of dynamometers used to calculate the power. Okay, those are different types of dynamometer: absorption dynamometer, driving dynamometers, and transmission dynamometers. These are the different types of dynamometers to calculate the power. Okay, so it is the overall introduction. So it is the overall introduction of the unit 5, measurement of humidity, force, torque, and power. In next class, the in detailed topics we will discuss. So thank you guys.